In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boys, Keeper, Crusader, and we've got Colin from Presearch again. How are we doing this evening, gentlemen?
Doing well, thanks. Good to be here.
It is What If Wednesday. You guys already know what time it is. We dive into some conspiratorial ideas, and tonight, Miguelito, what are we going to be speaking on?
Okay, we're talking about Elon Musk once again on the news, right? Is he the infamous Satoshi Nakamoto? And we've got Colin on here to tell us why he thinks that he is.
That's right. Colin's got a really interesting take on how possibly Satoshi is actually Elon. So I'm interested to hear this. He kind of touched on it last week when we were backstage, and I said, "Oh, we gotta talk about that one." So we're going to dive into that tonight, and actually stick around because also, if you haven't heard, now you know, Tesla just dumped 75% of their Bitcoin. They dumped $975 million worth of Bitcoin. I think they had 1 point something billion, and they dumped $975 million. So stick around. Let's talk about that. It's going to be a good night. Let me pull up the charts right quick. Actually, to pull up the chart, I need to actually have that open. Folks, I was late tonight, 100%. It's usually Miguel, but tonight it's definitely me. So I apologize for that. All right, so let's check it out. Miguel, you can see it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it pulled up? Okay. The global crypto market cap is, let me update just to make sure it hasn't changed. It is at 1.04 trillion with a T dollars. That's down 2.52% over the last day. We got Bitcoin hanging tough at about 23.3. I'm actually surprised it hasn't taken more of a hit since the news, but we'll see what happens there. ETH holding steady, 15.13, down about 3.5%, but up 37% on the week. Can't complain about that. My bags have been pumping. We love it. We got BNB down a few percent, and then XRP and Cardano and Solana down 3%, 5%, and 7% respectively.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't ask for more. We've had a massive pump in the last week or so. Having a few percent down today is just common sense. We kind of talked about it yesterday. Things could be having a reversal and heading back down. It looks like Bitcoin's price kind of peaking out a little bit on the daily. So.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. One of the things that, if you've paid any attention over the years, when Dogecoin pumps a lot of times, Bitcoin pumps too. It's a very interesting dynamic. I'm interested to see with the Elon news. I think part of that news is that he's still holding his Dogecoin too. So there's like a really weird dynamic going on here. So we're going to dive into all of that. Guys, if you are not in the Discord, make sure you jump in the Discord. July 30th is coming fast. We've got, 10 days? I think 10 days. I think today's the 20th, right? And we got 10 days till the free mint. And I want to throw this out there. Miguel, what's the website right now where we're double checking the smart contract? What is it?
Secret Soul Society.
SecretSoulSociety.xyz. If you want to help the team, jump on SecretSoulSociety.xyz and mint one of our little secret souls. They're 0.01. They are literally testing our smart contracts. So if you want to support the channel, something that would help us out, really spend $15, mint one of these things. We're just to making sure that the smart contract is correct for when we do our mints. There's no headaches. We don't want any stories in the news saying,
100%. And
Crusader and Keeper messed up that smart contract. Nah, not happening.
Yeah, exactly. And anybody that has been minting it or will be minting it, jump into Discord. That's where all the information is. And we're more than welcome everyone's feedback on the experience, because we want to make sure that the contract is optimized 100% as much as we can before that mint of the stimulus drop on July 30th.
Yeah, it's super important that we are on top of that. We're trying to push it out to as many people as possible, because as you guys know, not only are you getting the information, but it also helps you whitelist. And then on top of all of that, hey, if you can make a little money, if we can get this thing pumping and running, hey, I got no issues with that. All right, so let's dive into it, guys. Smash the likes, do the YouTube thing, and let's have some fun tonight. So, Colin, Bitcoin, Satoshi, Elon Musk. 3 big names in the crypto space, right? Yeah. We'll get into him dumping his Bitcoin, but let's back it up. Let's go back to 2009, okay? how do we come to a point where we have a conversation after a show last week about, hey, you know, you want to talk about something conspiratorial? I could see Elon Musk being Satoshi. So I've heard this before, but I've never heard a really good argument for it. So I want to talk to me about how Elon Musk could be Satoshi, and we'll go back and forth and kind of chat on it.
Yeah. So I mean, let me preface this all by saying I'm not hoping that Elon is Satoshi, and I am saying that I think it's important that we have the discussion in case he actually is. It may change people's perceptions of things, or at the very least, what I think is we need to kind of be prepared if that were the case. What are the ramifications of that?
Right.
And so I've been curious since I became acquainted with Bitcoin, which was first in 2011, and my other company, ShopCity.com, we enabled our merchants on the platform to post a Bitcoin wallet address back in 2013, and so I've been pretty familiar with Bitcoin for a while, but honestly, I did not get into it until 2017 because I actually thought that Bitcoin was this kind of stealth global currency, which honestly to me was kind of you know I, I didn't support that. I was originally getting into cryptocurrency more under the context of local currencies and trying to have many different currencies using blockchain versus having a single or a dominant global digital currency. And so I came at this from a really kind of hesitant position because once we lock in to a single global digital currency, there's a lot of ramifications. There's a lot of ability to, control things. There's a lot of just unintended consequences that could potentially happen. Right now we've got, let's call it 150 plus national fiat currencies. We've now got like 10,000 plus digital currencies of different forms. I feel like the risk has kind of been mitigated a little bit because there are lots of different options out there, and I think that ultimately, I'm hoping that there are different community-based currencies that end up becoming the main transactional currencies. But I do see really the value in having kind of this underlying store of value, which is not what was originally put out there in the Bitcoin white paper. It was talking about peer-to-peer cash, but I think having this underlying store of value that different digital assets can be measured against and kind of have them backstopped by is kind of a necessary function. And whether Bitcoin started out to be intended that way, that's how it's evolved. And I do think that the current software implementation and the network around it and the community around it and the ethos around it, and even like the forks of it, and kind of honestly the animosity within the different communities, it actually strengthens Bitcoin as being something that is difficult to manipulate, because if you can't get people to even agree on these kind of like basic things, or things that to some people are just so intuitive, like, oh, increase the block size or whatever. That's actually a good thing as far as having something that's very resilient, and that I believe is one of the number one or top characteristics of that underlying store of value asset for the whole digital currency ecosystem. So that's kind of like prefacing, what if Elon is Satoshi, and kind of how I'm coming at it. But so as I'm coming at it, I'm thinking, man, like, who created this? Was this a stealth, powers that be digital currency? Is this something that they're going to be, using against us? Is this
Yeah, that's
the
what I wanted to ask you about. What do you
right?
think his plan of attack was? Like, 2009 happens, right? If Elon is Satoshi, what do you think was going on in his mind if it was him, and how he could create this, release it, and never be associated with it? And do you think that was it just him on his own, or he had some type of, like, ulterior motive, like you said, some powers that be touching him in the shoulder and saying, "Hey, we need some type of future solution, and we're tapping you in the shoulder. You're up. Go fix it."
So one of the things that when we discussed it briefly at the end of last week's show, Rice was like, "Oh man, Elon is the Antichrist, and this is bad, and we don't want this." And like, I can see that concern, and I kind of do have that concern in some respects, but I also look at just from a practical standpoint. I mean, the powers that be, whatever they are, if it's shadow government or kind of this bureaucracy behind the scenes that actually really controls things, that is not really the political system, that is basically just a facade. They've already got all the powers. I mean, we're using DARPANET with the internet, and it's running on their backbone and their different networks and protocols, and they have the legislative ability to force big tech companies and all the major players within the internet ecosystem to spy on us and provide information, and they already control everything. So while I am concerned that maybe an Elon figure, it might ultimately be an antichrist, negative situation, I think that if we go into something like that, where maybe we are in a relationship that we don't even really know about with Elon, let's say, as Satoshi, if we go into it knowing that that's some of the potential pitfalls, then we can be prepared for it. And maybe some of those really negative implications, like when Rice is saying that, which again, I totally get why he is, it won't be so negative. And so,
well, it's not. Well, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off just real quick. It's not that. I know it sounds crazy to hear somebody say like, "Oh, he could be the Antichrist," right? But if he's looking biblically, let's just say, right, it literally says, and I'm not going to quote this correctly, but it basically suggests that somebody's going to come as like a shining white knight,
savior,
that's going to show up as a savior, and it's going to be the deceiver. Yes. And if you ask people around the world right now, like somebody that's just changing the world and going to do all of these great things, give me a person's name, you're going to hear Elon Musk a lot. You know what I mean? So it's not that wild, I don't think. But at the same time, how do you know, right? So pivoting, keep going with what you're saying. Go ahead.
So yeah, there's the context around, so what I would hope, like, if it were in fact him, and if this conversation in any way moves that forward, that ultimately I'm hoping that we don't put him up on a pedestal and view him as that savior and put all that trust in him or his products, and that we come at it skeptically and critically, and try to really take the really positive and good things. I mean, honestly, like a lot of the products that he's built are revolutionary, and part of me really wants to hope that he is a man of the people and somebody who is standing up to the powers that be. And so I'm going to come at this from the assumption, and this is maybe, part of like the law of attraction, and, you kind of manifest, like, I don't really want to manifest that Elon is the Antichrist. I would rather manifest that he is the man of the people, and that, he is building technologies and giving us tools that we can use to escape the servitude and the current entrapment scenario that we're basically, like, it's pretty damn clear we're already in, right? Like, I don't know how it's going to get that much worse if we are coming at this from that critical perspective.
So quick question. And before I
Yep.
ask you, guys, make sure you smash the likes. Let's get the likes rolling in. We greatly appreciate it. And make sure you're jumping into the Discord, Danger Close Alpha. Links are down below. But my question is, what do you think would happen if it was found out that he is Elon, if he is Satoshi Nakamoto? Like, do you see a negative for Bitcoin? Would that hurt Bitcoin's price, its store of value status? Or would it just not matter? What do you think the reaction would be to that?
Short term, I think it would actually probably be positive.
How come? How come?
He does have the ability to move markets, but maybe if I can, so let's say Elon's a good guy, okay? Because this narrative, what we're talking about,
only works if he's a good guy.
It only works if he's a good guy, and this directly influences the question that you just asked: how will it be perceived, and what will be the impact? Okay, so what if Elon is a good guy? And he, smart freaking dude. He's on, the autism spectrum, whatever. But he is actually, a man of the people. And I know there's, shit about his family, and maybe he's, coming from some weird lineage and whatnot. And so I take all that into account. But let's say we're manifesting this reality where Elon's a good guy. He formed PayPal with Peter Thiel. They merged two companies, Elon's company X.com and Peter Thiel's company Confinity, and they set out. And there's a lot of videos out there. There's like a good summary video that just came out the other day that somebody highlighted in one of our Telegram groups after our last conversation, saying, "Oh yeah, Chico Crypto just posted a thing about Elon is Satoshi." So check that one out. That's the most recent one that's come across my radar, because there's some video clips within it that will validate these things that I'm saying, which we're not going to be validating right now. But basically, they set out to create a global currency with PayPal that could not be altered and debased and used against us. And this is not Elon saying this. This is somebody else who was involved in the very early days of PayPal. And that was the vision for PayPal. They didn't achieve it. They built something obviously of significant usage and value. PayPal's, probably one of the most, impactful Web 1, Web 2.0 companies. But they did it, from this very traditional framework, VC funding. It's a company. It's based in California. It has employees in the US, all this stuff. And so they very quickly realized, well, crap, we can't do all this stuff that we actually want to do, because there's too much risk here. And there's no ability for PayPal to ever live up to that vision, because we would be violating laws. We would have, this ability to be shut down. It could be, just instantly turned off, basically, by the existing powers that be. In the process, though, they learned a hell of a lot about how the economy works. They learned a lot about how the banking system worked. You learned a lot about how fractional reserve banking works. And if you watch, and I mentioned to you guys privately, December 28th, 2021, Elon interview with Lex Fridman, Fridman. It's a 2.5 hour video. Watch that. And at about 57, 58 minutes into that video, he starts talking about cryptocurrency. And there's some other interesting conversations where he's talking about like potential governance on Mars, which has always kind of been his cover story for SpaceX, which ties, some of this stuff together. So in doing or having this conversation, he exposes just how much real, insight he gained in those early days about the economy and about the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve banking. And it's pretty clear that he is not for it. Okay. So let's say he comes into, this knowledge. They want to create change. They realize they can't. He starts thinking about, well, how could we possibly do it? Well, I mean, look at the shit that the guy's accomplished. Honestly, it's and not just him. Obviously, it's a team.
But quick question again, once again. So we're talking. So all right. So we're assuming he's got the knowledge. He's got the experience with PayPal and all these things that he's done in the past. Would you be nervous? Should the people be nervous if Elon is Satoshi, right? Because I find some type of what's the word? Kind of like some type of like safety, some type of
solace,
relief, solace, whatever it is, on the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto is probably no longer with us, and those 1 million Bitcoin are locked away forever, right? But if Satoshi Nakamoto is still alive and still has access to his 1 million Bitcoin, and it is Elon, and Elon is now just sold $975 million worth of Bitcoin, if the truth were to come out and they were to come after him one way or another, could he just dump it all and just just crash the market? That would make me nervous.
Let me jump in here real quick. So I totally agree with you, Miguel, in terms of the Genesis wallet. So for those of you that don't know, there's a Genesis wallet out there that has 1 million Bitcoin. That is the wallet that everyone says, if any Bitcoin ever moves from that wallet, we got a problem. Is what people are thinking. They're saying whatever, or we know that Satoshi is either still alive or Satoshi had passed off his keys to somebody else, whatever the case may be. Here's the I'll play devil's advocate here. On the positive side, Elon Musk is so filthy rich that the 1 million Bitcoin isn't. I mean, yes, dude, it's an insane amount of money. I'd have to do the math.
He's not filthy rich. He's rich in paper, right? On paper, he's rich, but he ain't got no physical assets. We've talked about it, right? His whole wealth comes from subsidies from the government and the dependence on the government.
Totally agreed, but the man can do anything he wants to do full on at any point. So that's, I mean, he's very wealthy, right?
Well, within his company.
You're saying he's not like liquid, but shit, I'm not liquid either, and my company still allows me to like do things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's part of creating wealth in America is debt and ultimately what he's doing. At any event, hold on. So back that up. So I believe that part of it is that he's so wealthy, whether he's liquid or not, he's so wealthy that the 1 million Bitcoin is not going to be something that would change his life, right? On the other side of it, the problem would be if you truly created this currency system that is decentralized about the people and you believe in it long term, why the hell are you selling it? If you know what I'm saying, it doesn't make sense. So I think that would be the negative side. At the end of the day, 1 million Bitcoin would be 5%, a little bit less than, but 5% of the total supply. Okay. Now I know all at once that's not how it works. It would absolutely crush the market, but albeit over the full span, you're talking 5%. So I don't know. I think it would be a sentiment problem if the Genesis moved, like as in started selling from it.
I think it'd be more than just a sentiment problem. I mean, like look what happened with XRP and Jed that we were talking about just yesterday, right? He's been selling XRP for years, slowly, and they've all claimed that is one of the biggest suppressions in XRP price. Imagine 1 million Bitcoin being sold off in the next 5 to 10 years. We could have the longest bear market in the world.
10-year bear market from 1 million Bitcoin just like being Game consistently just freaking pummeled onto the market.
Game of Thrones winter, like it's just forever lasting.
Colin, I cut you off, dude. I'm sorry. I needed to jump in on that. Continue. I want to hear where you're headed with this.
Absolutely. So yeah, great points, and definitely, I think those can probably be addressed in potentially a narrative. So let's say Elon realizes that, okay, this is one of the limiting factors for humanity right now, is that we are under this fractional reserve system that is controlled by the military industrial complex, let's call it, using the internet, which is also controlled by the military industrial complex. And certainly, yes, it's dubious and, deserves scrutiny that there have been relationships between like SpaceX and NASA and, Elon and different government entities. And so, that all needs to be taken into account. Although I think, if you look at actually a lot of those relationships, I would say, you could also look at them as relationships of convenience and or necessity that maybe didn't necessarily result in the type of kind of corruption of vision that may happen in other scenarios. So let's say, okay, how would he do this? Well, you know, comes up with the idea for Bitcoin and for the ledger system that is behind Bitcoin, which I think pretty safe to say that somebody like him, if there's somebody on the planet who could come up with this, and specifically if it's an individual person, which I believe that it probably is, based on, as soon as you get a group of people actually involved in something, it's a lot more likely that there will be data compromised and that there will be infighting and these types of things. That would actually, to me, so like, to go to like, well, what if one guy controls 1 million Bitcoin? If there was somebody living on the planet that I would say probably most people would feel comfortable having control 1 million Bitcoin, it would be Elon, because he does have the wealth. He has proven to be very long-term focused and kind of committed to, he's been at his different ventures for a long time. Some people definitely, view him as a huckster and whatnot. But I mean, honestly, like, to me, that's a cop out. Like, man, if you look at the technology, and if you look at Tesla, and if you look at SpaceX, and if you look at Starlink, pretty friggin' amazing and revolutionary and groundbreaking. And like, honestly, if you want to like look at like what is actual true proof of work, it's actually like those entities. They're the most innovative entities in the past 20 years.
So do you think that he could use Bitcoin once he colonizes Mars and then start creating his own economy over there with Bitcoin?
I think Mars is maybe it's an interesting, it's maybe an interest, but to me it's also a cover. Honestly, Mars is the cover.
The cover for what?
For the fact that he has built SpaceX, which has launched Starlink, which has now built a decentralized alternet that does not run on DARPANet. So we now have a non-military industrial complex run internet, which
but I think he's gonna need Mars once they start catching on to what he's doing. He's gonna need to have an evacuation plan, because we know that if you get to these levels of high power, right, where you make these moves, where you disrupt previously existing structures of power, right, they will come for you, right? They will come knocking on your door, and you're either going to comply or you're not going to play the game at all, right? They're going to just exit. You're going to clock out real soon. So I think he's going to need some type.
Which is why it's so risky, which is why you would need to create your own alternate internet, because as Bitcoin, even if he's not involved, as Bitcoin and as digital currency becomes, more integrated, and it'll be interesting to see like what, let's say Jack Dorsey does with Square, which is like the #1 small business point of sale system that is now being heavily integrated with Bitcoin. And as you start actually having the ability to do peer-to-peer transactions, and those choke points, which are the traditional exchanges and the ways that we're converting, which is ridiculous, cryptocurrency into fiat currency so that we can transact. As that paradigm shifts, and as that wave crests, then that traditional currency system is going to be significantly devalued, because it's just less efficient and it's more corrupt. And so it's natural that whether Elon is the guy or not, the technology itself is creating that, And what is going to ultimately probably be a way that that could be choked off would be to block the protocols at the ISP level, and basically force everybody who is using digital currency to go through certain frameworks that enable us to use this kind of dumbed down, muted version of cryptocurrency, non peer to peer, more, like through all the different legislation.
What are you talking about, like CBDCs?
CBDCs would be probably a way that it would be done, but I mean, exchanges, anything that is regulated, basically, is the choke point for cryptocurrency currently, and potentially, if there is going to be this struggle between cryptocurrency and kind of the traditional, and I'm going to call cryptocurrency as the people's decentralized cryptocurrency versus online banking, which is really what a CBDC is, or what a traditional fiat-based online banking system is, which is also what a centralized crypto exchange is, right? They're basically banks. And so, like, at some point, there is going to be that power shift or that power struggle. And if I were him, and so, like, some of the conversations around, well, why Mars and stuff? Oh, well, we need to be a multiplanetary species. Well, why do we need to be a multiplanetary species? Well, because Earth could get hit by an asteroid, and then all of our eggs are in one basket, and then our extinction, our whole civilization and species goes extinct. Okay, well, that's really thinking about some pretty, like, esoteric threats, right?
Or he
Isn't
needs
the
an escape
greater
plan.
threat that we continue to be operating in this paradigm under the powers that be, that are basically creating these systems that are not empowering us as individuals to reach our full potential?
Do you
That
think somebody's gonna let? Do you think somebody's gonna let somebody step in and pull the taxpayers' money off of planet Earth and put them somewhere else? Hell no, not a chance. That man is dying. He is dead, gone, kaput. See you later. You're not taking my tax dollars off planet Earth, right? I think that Bitcoin, no matter how it comes about, or whether it is Elon Musk or not, I think that at some point, some way, shape, or form, whoever did this is part of, this is just my personal belief, is part of the inner workings of the government. And the reason I think that is because, as much as I love Bitcoin, as much as I am a Bitcoin purist, if you will, and believe in what it stands for, I also understand that the main problem with Bitcoin is just the absolute lack of privacy. It is gone. Like, if you thought you had privacy, you've got it with cash. Theoretically, that's the most private way that you're going to have it, or bartering, right? That totally goes away. And so we talked about, I actually was on a live earlier, and somebody had said something about basically this topic, not with Satoshi specifically being Elon, but basically they were talking about the CIA. And I said, we've had this discussion before. My problem is, you're giving the CIA the credit that they literally built this thing from the back forward, making people then believe that they were taking back the power. And then once they take back the power, really what they're doing is they're taking and losing their freedom and their privacy. And then, basically you're giving them a lot of credit that they really, like, reverse engineered. That was the word I was looking for. They reverse engineered our whole society to believe that Bitcoin was of the people for the people, when in reality it was of the government for the government. And I think there's a really interesting kind of push-pull there. And I think that a person at Elon's stature, if he did create it, I think the CIA could keep that under wraps. And I think they would pull him to the side and say, listen, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. We want to use it for X, Y, and Z. You know what needs to happen. You know the assignment. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I struggle with the idea that there is a Iron Man type of figure, a Tony Stark savior character that's in the inner circles and in the meetings and the parties that Elon Musk is showing up to. Like, I feel like there's no way you can rub shoulders with these people and not be getting dirty some way, somehow, because they just won't allow you to be part of the party. They won't allow you to be part of the dinner table if they cannot trust 100% you're on their side and you're one of them. Could there be the small chance that it's all with like a means to an end, that he's just with them, just put the facade, and he's undercover kind of situation. Maybe, but I think it's too high risk for someone to say, yeah, I'm gonna completely risk it all for the people.
Didn't Hal Finney die under some kind of weird circumstances as well? I think I know he would, like, all of a sudden got sick, right? Didn't he get sick all of a sudden with like COPD and something else, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
but it happened really quick, as I remember, right? So then I don't know. Again, it's What If Wednesday, so I'm just
I mean, and it could be Hal Finney, but like, so why Elon Musk? Okay, so he uncovered all these things. The other narrative is that it's a bunch of cypherpunks, right? And yet
you couldn't keep that a secret. No freaking way. You couldn't keep it a secret with a group of people like that. I don't believe that. I don't know how you could.
But even Hal Finney would be, to me, classified as a cypherpunk. Really interested in cryptography, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And yet he wrote the first, version of Bitcoin, the first Bitcoin client in C++ to run on Windows. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you think that it wouldn't be written in, something that runs on Linux and that is more aligned with? Yet Elon is a master of C++. All of his companies use C++ for everything. PayPal, there was a huge fight, and this is documented. There was a huge fight when they tried to merge PayPal and Confinity, that Elon was like, no, the only thing that this could run on is C++. And so, like, that kind of thing makes me think, okay, that other narrative doesn't make sense, right? Because if it was a cypherpunk, they would be writing something to run on Linux. It wouldn't be running as an Bitcoin.exe on Windows, right? Which is the first Bitcoin client.
Yeah, I don't know the technical side of it to have that that discussion. Miguel does.
Presearch Bitcoin.exe. That's all you got to look up, and first Bitcoin client, and it says right there on Bitcoin.org. And so, like,
so could the miners theoretically? So if he wrote all of this, he understood this proof of work. He understood that it was going to need to be mined, right? So he understood all of that.
Yep.
Well,
his family are another great point. His family does have history with mining.
So that's what I'm getting at. So, like, is the far out idea that, like, hey, on top of all of this, I also have the connection there, and I know how to make this operate and work. And guess what? The rest of my family is going to benefit from this as well. I get it, right? There's a whole lot of questions.
Again, though, like think about it. He doesn't need Bitcoin. He's already, and so you can say that it's all paper wealth, but, like, man, he just extracted 14 billion in USD fiat from Tesla under the auspices of, I need the money to buy Twitter. Yeah. And the price of Tesla barely even moved.
Didn't even move.
So he's smart enough that he knows how to extract, and that's as much money as anybody ever will need. Just that alone. But if you're talking about what is actual wealth, man, he controls and owns majority positions in the best and biggest battery maker, which is really what Tesla is. It is also an electric car company, but it's the gigafactories, one of the biggest solar companies in the world, the only one that has figured out at scale reusable rockets and the ability to launch satellites into space in a cost-effective way, which has now enabled him to launch more than 2,000 Starlink satellites that now run an internet service that is friggin' amazing. It's faster than cable. It's available anywhere. It's cost-effective. It's literally the instructions for the thing. It's a graphic, and like there's three things. It's put it outside, plug it in, download the app. Those are the instructions.
Shut up.
It's so ridiculously easy, honestly. I've had one for over a year. It's amazing. It's like I've had a satellite internet system before this,
And they
I like
suck.
not ExploreNet, like a remote one, and
Yeah.
honestly, like nightmare.
Yeah.
This is like
You're
groundbreaking.
pulling speeds off this thing. You're pulling speeds off this thing like 400 plus,
150 megs,
150 megs.
consistently, very, very easy.
Well, you're
Up.
streaming right now and not having a problem. You haven't lagged
I'm
at
not
all.
using it this second because I'm at the
Okay.
office,
I
but
got you. Okay.
honestly, it's like for remote locations, and it's as much bandwidth as basically anything ever
You
needs.
need.
Right. And it's at 2,000 satellites out of 12,000 is what they're planning to launch. So like, and the technology behind this thing. So who cares what it's actually worth in fiat? Like,
What's the end game? That's the question. What's the end game?
he has well, maybe the end game is launching decentralized cryptocurrencies to, stealth overthrow the powers that be and empower humans. That's what I am choosing, honestly, to look at, as far as manifesting something.
That's way better than the Antichrist.
It's way well, and there's Antichrist potential, right?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
but if you go into it with your eyes open, going, "Hey, like I can't put all my like to me, like one of the biggest threats would be, okay, he gets idolized, he gets put up on this pedestal, and then he does get offed, whether it's by them or by somebody else, and then people's hope and morale, like takes this massive dive. Yeah, maybe it gets they put us back to where we are right now. But honestly, where we are right now is already we're controlled. The internet is controlled.
Yeah.
And so, like to me, we're not in any worse position by choosing to believe that, hey, there is actually this, individual who is trying to do good for humanity. Maybe, yeah, he's a little, dirty or weird because he is rubbing shoulders with these people, but in other respects, it's like, you'd have to do that to get to the end goal. And maybe he's planning to be a martyr. Honestly, who friggin' knows? But what would be a way to overcome the 1 million Bitcoin is honestly, he could choose to give up his freaking fiat currency. He could say, hey, you know what? I'm no longer denominating the equity in my companies in US dollars. It's now being denominated in Bitcoin.
That's it. It's the only way. That's
right.
You're not wrong.
I don't think he's gonna get off the stage if he says that.
Yeah, you're right.
He's not gonna take
a mysterious shot from the grassy knoll. I know. So at the end of the day, guys, you know what you came in here for, right? It's What If Wednesday. So I love it. I think it's fun. I think that when we talk about some of these ideas, I saw in the chat. So chat, we see you, right? People are like, I need some of what these guys are smoking, right? Because I think a lot of people come in and maybe they miss the fact that we're like just throwing around like some wild ideas or whatever. But at the end of the day, no matter who created Bitcoin, it freaking works. Right? It works. It does what it's supposed to do. It will continue to do what it's supposed to do. It is a commodity. It is not a security. And we have something now that it does truly empower the people. The only way that I think that goes away is out and out dictatorship, out and out communism. It's the only way that it goes away, where basically it just says, hey, you will not do that. You will not do this. We're shutting it down. We're taking away the internet from you and basically put us in a position like China, like you can only see what we want you to see. It's the only way Bitcoin goes away. That being said, I don't see a world that's going to accept that, right? We've felt and seen tasted what some of what we can have with this, and now people are going to build on top of that. So I'm excited to see what geniuses like Elon Musk do with it. He could do something like, even if he didn't create it, what if he's just flat out across the board? He's like, listen, I'm only taking Bitcoin now for Starlink. Like you got to get on board, right? And the funny part is, if he holds enough Bitcoin and he has enough control over these companies, and he says, I'm only taking this, he's pumping his own bags anyway. Right? So I think it's a really interesting thought, no matter what. I will say that the Genesis wallet is usually the sticky point for people because we're so programmed to think about money. And the reason that I actually like this one is because Elon doesn't need the Genesis wallet. He just genuinely doesn't need it. So I think it's a really interesting. Miguel, any final thoughts? Colin, any final thoughts? I don't want to cut anybody off.
No, man, I've said what I've said. I don't know. I think it's, I don't know.
I don't know either, honestly. But like, to me, it's a credible theory, and it's, to me, more likely than the other theories. And so I'm just, I'm moving forward again, kind of trying to manifest the good. And I'm also trying to go in being aware that, hey, maybe in a year or 5 years, it might come out that, oh yeah, Elon, was Satoshi. And, hopefully there is a way for us to, try to, whether it's create some type of a DAO type, people of Earth group where it's like, hey, maybe, if that were the case, hey, here's 500,000 out of the million, and it's going to go to this group to do good. And maybe there's an opportunity for people to, have an impact that way. I think that would be a really cool outcome, personally.
Yeah, just a donation of the Genesis wallet. Basically, yes, it is who I am. This is what we're going to use it for. You know what the price? We're not going to dump it onto the open market. We're going to utilize it for X, Y, and Z as the people. It's a freaking cool idea. I love it. I think that there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think we're not going to know. Personally, I don't know that we're going to find out, at least for maybe a very long time, who actually created this thing. But I do know that I'm happy that it's here. It's part of the reason why we get up on a daily basis and check the charts and kind of see what's going on. It's this new thing that's going to continue to accelerate and push forward technology as we know it, and I'm excited about it. Absolutely. So, Colin, thank you very much for coming on. Miguelito, it's been a great night. We're always having fun, guys. Make sure you jump into the Discord. 10 days left. Just as a reminder, you keep hearing it, but Danger Close Alpha, we're talking about some world-changing events tonight. Should something like the Genesis wallet come out, should something like Elon, right? You need to be prepared because things do happen. And so that's what we're here with Danger Close Alpha. We're trying to bring together the crypto community, the prepper community, and just say, hey, listen, it doesn't need to be some tyrannical government. It can be something as simple as a natural disaster. You owe it to yourself and your family to be ready. So make sure you guys jump in the Discord. We got 10 days till the free mint, and then moving forward from there. So Crypto Fam, we love you guys. We appreciate you. You could be anywhere, but you're here on a Wednesday night. So thank you for that. We will talk to you soon. Just remember, question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl.
Like a top.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you soon.